All right. All right, in this project, we are going to be using the bowl bundle. The bowl bundle comes with 5 different forms. It comes with a 6.5. It comes with an 8-inch. These are RD2 versions. And they will sit on top of these OG sizes, which are 8, 9.5, and 11. And if you want to make a bigger bowl, you can switch this out and put this on top as so. So you can kind of mix and match which ones you want to use to create different bowl sizes. So we're going to use the smallest RD2, 6.5, 8-inch OG 8, OG 9.5, OG 11. Also comes with these pegs. And maybe switching to the top down. We can then, I would start by putting the smaller one in, and then that will then attach to the next one. And only the bowl bundle comes with holes in the middle of the form. All the other forms come without. So you could use other ones if you want, but this is just a specific bundle just to make bowls. Then we can attach through there, and we have talked with the person that does the cutting and made sure that these will line up better. And so we are going to test them before we ship them to make sure that they will line up really well, or fairly close. But it still will pretty much create little textures in there, so no matter how close it is, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. The good thing now is that there's still room on the bottom hole to then attach to our WA2 system. All right, this is our WA2 system, and basically what this is comes with 3 parts. A part to kind of prep our slab, the main part to attach the forms to, and this little attachment that will hook in with the forms. And so we're using OGs on the bottom, and they have 1 hole, and that will work out just perfectly for this as well. So what we do actually is we have these locating grooves, and we can then use top-down camera. It'll then attach onto our bat pin. We can slide it forward, and it drops right down into place. This then would attach into here, and then the forms will then attach onto here. So once our slab is prepped, we can then drape the slab over top that to form the bowl. We'll do that in a second here. So, all right, top down. So we take our slab, and this is a really good way to compress your slab. I don't have the splash pans on my wheel because we're not really going to use any water to splash around, so no splash pan needed. So now we are going to compress the slab. There we go. For some projects, you may even want to decorate your slab, and the wheel is a really fun way to make kind of bands of texture, circular bands of texture, or different ways of adding color. It's a wonderful way to do that. All right. Now we're going to put our forms on there. Do a little rotating and dropping. And then we can just take the smooth side of the slab, drape it right onto the mound of clay here. You can see these folds, and what we got to do is kind of gently, kind of smoothly put these folds down, because we're really kind of stretching out this flat slab of clay into kind of a 3-dimensional object. That we're kind of slowly and gently kind of moving that clay into place. kind of patting. I wouldn't pat too much. I would really do a lot more like kind of movements of your hands in a way that kind of gently kind of stretches the clay against the form. Since we have the pegs in the middle, it should be okay, but we could also just take our finger and run it up the side to feel if those forms are still in place, and they seem to be in good shape. Alright. So now what we want to do is, because we're using one peg, we're going to use all this clay on the outside to make sure that it sticks to the, keeps everything locked in place. Now what we can do is use our rib. We can press. We don't want to stretch out or thin the clay. We just want to kind of form the clay to this mound of forms. When I was first thinking of these molds and what to call them, I thought they're not really molds, so I think I'm going to call them forms. But it's funny that we were going to form to the form, right? I really love using having this lines on there, and I'm going to use this rib, and I'm going to use it by making it in a stroke motion. You know, so you could kind of, you do all kinds of things. You need to make a little. There you go. So yeah, this creates a nice kind of pattern. You can see how it kind of pulled that clay away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the wheels back going, and we're going to just kind of shape the clay a little bit, making sure that we have kind of a band of lines. And then if I want to, it's kind of nice to add a little line here. Give us just a little interest. And we're going to put our foot on the top. And so this is the bottom one here, the top in this case, top or bottom, however you want to look at it. It is a 6.5 inch form, so it has a 2 inch edge, so that takes away 4 inches, so we're left with 2 1/4, so we need to make a radius of 1 inch and 1/4. So it's 2.5, so 1 1/4 would be our radius. So just so we can kind of repeat our line over, we can use our compass. We can find the middle by just placing the dowel in the middle. If it makes a big of ring, then you got to move it closer to the middle, and that kind of gives us a place to show where our center is. I think I can, because this bowl is so big, I think I'm going to put my clay on the outside of it, just to give it a little bit of more, feel like a little more strength. So now all I can do is take and I want to use it kind of parallel as possible, and kind of develop a nice thick band here. And now all I can do is take this strip of clay, put it right on the outside of my line here, my measured line here. And because this bowl is kind of big, I'm going to double it up. So we'll put the first layer here. And then I'm going to make sure I don't go over the same area where the seam is, make the seam in a different spot. Now I have this nice kind of thick foot here. On the tool, one tool I do need is a sponge, but just for this particular purpose, so I can make my fingers slide through. I start by putting my inside finger to push the coil into place. Then I add a little pressure to the top to make sure everything is squished together. And then I push on the outside to kind of give it a kind of aesthetic appearance. Then what I do is I'm going to take my little modeling tool and give it a little bit of an angle. also make sure everything is compressed and nicely attached. Looks like I might need to trim off just a little bit off this top, so I'll just take my knife. A lot of people like to use a pin tool for this, but I just like my knife. Now I can smooth it out, so we should have a nice top. But I'm going to make one, just cut my edge again here just to make sure we have a nice clean cut. And I can use my sponge to kind of touch up that edge a little bit. Works really well is to take a glaze bottle and put it underneath so it helps to lift that out of there. There we go. So then now we have our bowl. Nice top thing on there. So it's a nice way to make a bowl. You can see it has this nice kind of rounded edge. Really like how these bowls turn out. I will leave this set for 4 to 6 hours until it starts to lift up off the forms. Thankfully it'll do that as it because of the angle of the forms. And then I'll just kind of soften this edge, maybe clean up the inside, and this piece will be ready to add glaze to, or add to our first firing.